I think most of our viewers are probably not thinking about the grid that much unless something goes wrong, unless there's a blackout or they lose power or something
Yep.
like that. I mean, for our audience, can you talk through how the grid is holding up now as we're trying to electrify so many more things and why, improving the grid is so important to our larger climate goals?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I like to even unpack the word grid. I feel like the grid is this like sort of like convoluted term, and unfortunately, again, to your point, we only think about it when the power goes out. But the grid is fundamentally made up of three sectors, right? There's generation, the power plants that all of us know, solar, wind, nuclear, coal. There is transmission, those big high voltage lines you see going across the country, whether by highways or across fields. And then there's distribution, which is really everything else that makes up, the poles and wires, the transformers, everything else that makes up the electricity delivery to our homes and to our factories and our businesses. Now, the electric grid is about a century old, right? We've had it literally. It's the first country in the world to have an electric grid, and it is the absolute linchpin to the decarbonization of the whole economy. And when we're thinking about transportation decarbonization, the part of the grid that's actually most vulnerable, but also could use the most benefit from vehicle electrification is that last mile system called distribution. And that's because about 80% of the cost of electrifying our homes and particularly our vehicles is going to be felt on that last mile system where we've just never really designed your neighborhood cul-de-sac, right? For 5 EVs or 10 EVs. And so there's a lot of supply chain issues around going up there and upgrading all of that, but also we don't need to do so. There's just ways where we can use that system and more fully utilize it. And as we get into those tipping points of electrification, we can, in a much smarter way, not just manage the vehicles, but also then start to tactically and strategically upgrade the system where it needs to be done. And so, as large scale electrification really starts to take off as it's happening, I think we're gonna have to upgrade the grid. We want it to be reliable. We want it to be affordable for all, and we of course want to enable that clean energy transition. And so I think that's where we're going to see the bulk of the investment having to go, which is our fixed infrastructure, the T and D that delivers power to our homes.